With the first year of this decade having just flown by, it begs the question, will any style define this decade so much as it did the previous ones? For example, when you think of the 1990s, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Safe to say it's baggy torn-up clothes, dial-up internet, phones the size of a brick, Nirvana or other bands, and incredibly funny sitcoms. Unless you lived in Eastern Europe, then you'll remember this time a bit differently. In the 60s there was the Beatles and a shitload of acid. In the 70s there were afros, disco, and an even bigger shitload of acid. In the 80s there was a lot of hair and colors and funky electronic music and an even bigger shitload of when you get the point. Everything before us had some trends that lasted for a long amount of time and generally applied to the masses. So now, in the 2020s, where the cutting-edge, largely accessible technology seemingly grants us endless possibilities, what will be the culture-defining thing that puts this decade in the history books? Well, the answer is actually pretty scary, and it's not the virus. I'm talking about commercialization.
Commercialization.
And by now you're probably going,
what do you mean by that?
Well, we will have a lot of the same things the decades before us did. We'll have movies, TV shows, music, and all other types of entertainment. But they aren't going to be done by the same passionate people caring about their projects. No, these things are going to be done by soulless corporate producers who are only passionate for them Benjamins. Take for example today's music, which I can't stress about enough. All the music on the radio and TV sounds exactly the same, from rap to pop. Seems that everyone wants to make the same song over and over just because it's safe, and you're guaranteed oblivious people will just consume it without second thought. The same with movies and TV shows. Everything seems to follow the same plotline just with other characters, especially horror movies, and the surface level exceptions are 1 in a billion. But ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way saying that there aren't any great artists or producers or writers. Actually, quite the opposite. I'm saying that there's a whole lot of them, but they are going to get overshadowed by the big media and left unnoticed by the general masses. Another reason why we won't have a proper culture-defining thing this and probably the coming decades is that the endless possibilities of the internet introduce such variety of media that people never again are going to be so united over one band or a TV show or any other thing. There are a lot of communities of anything you can imagine, but there isn't anything, at least in my experience, over what all people would be so united about. So is the variety a good thing? Yes, of course it is. It always was and it always will be. But it's just a little sad for me because we won't have that one singular thing that will go hand in hand with our decade. And maybe it's just that, oh man, the last generation before us had it better type of deal. More likely than not, it actually is. So I noticed a big tendency for people to recycle trends from like the 80s and the 90s, the fashion. But there never seems to be one singular thing that would define this decade. Same with music. There are a lot of songs trying to replicate the likes of pop, punk and grunge. But once again, it is getting done by soulless corporate individuals just trying to capitalize off of trends. And if we take a TV show, let's say like The Simpsons, and compare to what it was back in the 90s versus what it is now, we can clearly see that even things made way back when are now getting ruined by the same money-hungry sharks. I don't remember exactly who said it, but the modern Simpsons were described as in a constant battle with your phone over your attention, which is sadly the case. So will nothing really define this decade at all? Well, the answer more likely than not is no. But we just have to be happy with what we have, that we have the ability to join the communities of things that we enjoy, and have such big variety of them. And I myself am lucky to be in front of a camera right now, just speaking almost off a script, but right now I'm just going like sideways. So on that note, I will tell you thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. If you did not enjoy the video, feel free to dislike the video or leave a hate comment, I don't know. If you liked it, leave just a comment, I don't know, drop a like in the comments. And with that, I will say goodbye.